So let's discuss Bootstrap's accordion control. So as you see here, this first item is expanded, but this is our accordion control. We have 3 items in here. We click on the headers and they collapse, and you should see as you clicked one, the other ones collapse. You can set this so that each one is open and closed independently of the other. But right now, this is set to only expand one at a time. So let's look at the structure here. So at the top level, we have an accordion class. And then for each one of these items, including the header right here, we have an accordion item class. And then we have an accordion header and an accordion body. But in order to get this collapsing to work correctly, we have to add a bunch of other things. So right now we have to make sure that we have an ID of accordion example, or well, whatever ID we have, but it has to match the data BS parent. And we also have to use the collapse class right here in order to set up the collapse. We have our collapse 1 for our area controls and our BS target of collapse 1 to denote which item is going to be collapsed. So all those things have to be in place in order to get this effect that we have right here. So as you can see in our button, we have a name, accordion item 1. And in our body, we basically can dump whatever we want to. We have form controls here. We are looping through a set of alert controls that we're basically assigning, and we're hitting the delete button here. So we're setting all this stuff up. Basically anything we want to put in the body, we can put. We have a badge down here. So we can dump any item, any controller. We can write our own long HTML right here. So that's kind of how you want to set up the accordion. Basically, you have to have all these collapse items matching in order to get everything to work correctly. But the biggest items are accordion, item, and then within that, header and body. And then the collapse linking between the button and the item that you're going to collapse. So there's a lot of stuff here. And since we're using Angular, let's go ahead and take some of it out and get the exact same effect. So I rebuilt the accordion control down here, a little simpler using ngIfs. So let's go through it, go ahead and save this and reload it. So once again, at the top level, we have an accordion control, accordion item, accordion header, and accordion body. And we had to do a few things to make this work, but basically they're not too many. So let's just kind of run through this, make sure you see that it looks exactly the same. Pretty much does the exact same stuff. So the look and feel is very similar. So as you notice here on the button, we don't have to have as many collapse designations. We don't have to link as many of the IDs together because we're basically using this button to click and toggle this is first Boolean, which is on the back end of the TS file. Is first, is second, is third. So we toggle this back and forth, basically doing the opposite of each value. And then each time we do that, we make sure that every other button that we have here is set to false. So I have an is second and is third for these other buttons, and they're all being toggled to false whenever I toggle the is first. No matter if it's closed or set, we just go ahead and set it false. And on the accordion button, we need to, if it's true, we do a show, and that's just to get this highlighted effect, and the collapse is just to get this collapse effect. So, and mostly these are just visual looks to get a similar. Basically, the collapse needs to be in there, otherwise this little button right here doesn't toggle up and down. So this is just to get kind of a similar visual effect to the accordion. And here we've gotten rid of some of our collapsed items, and we've added this label just to define what's in this control. And we set it to is first, and we once again have the accordion body, but we had to add a border because there's no border without the other stylized settings on the typical accordion control. So as you can see, it's very similar, but there's less divs that we need. We just need the big ones, accordion, then the items, each individual one, then header and the body, and we got to add the border. Do the styling on the button to do show just to get some of the highlighting effects, and collapse to get the toggle of this little switch. But other than that, it's very similar in look and feel with a broad-based reduction in controls. This was 47 lines all the way to the end, and this is what 34 lines all the way to the end. So it's a little simpler, and everything looks a little tighter, and we use some of the Angular backing to do the show in the hide.